Hello and welcome to another video. Come and have a look at this. Any idea what that is? That is a donor panel for the crumple part of the Fiesta. So it's the sill area and that's going up to the A-pillar. This is going to be an exciting one. I'm absolutely looking forward to doing the repair on this. It's going to be the biggest task I've ever taken on in body repair, but I've got the confidence I can do it. We just got to execute the plan. So one thing I want to mention, from now on, the car we're going to be working on, the latest build, we're now going to refer to that as "oh no." Someone mentioned it in the comments when I did the video one, "oh no." So it's fitting, that's a number plate, it's going to save confusion, so that's what we're going to call it. And just so you know, the daily is now sold. So the first Fiesta I had, that's gone, so I'm left with two. So I'm left with the track car and this one. But anyway, it's enough waffling. Let's go out to the car and let's make a start. Oh, I forgot to say this was part 3. Carry on as you were. Right, so this is where we're at. So I've got my clamp puller already there. We're going to pull it in the direction of where the hit happened. And as you can see, I haven't got a jig or a clamp table, so I need something to pull against. And that's going to be my van. We're going to clamp onto that. We've got a winch puller, and then we're going to do some pulling. Right, so I've done a little test run of pulling, and to be honest, when you haven't got a jig, I will admit it is hard to keep a car still, so I've come up with a plan. Come and have a look. Ratchet strap, that runs down here and into some roll cage tube in a drain hole, and that goes in about 2 feet, so that's clamped tight, and that should hopefully hold the car, give us something solid to pull against. What I'm going to do for an anchor point here is got this chain going through here, both going through there, and it's also going to be held there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it off the edge here, and then I'm going to drive onto it with a van, so that you'll have a solid point to pull on there, and the weight of the van will be holding it down. So that's going to be my anchor point. So I'm going to get the van set up, and then we'll film the first real pull. Right, so it's moved a bit there. What I'm going to do now, I think I'm going to reposition a little bit higher up, and we're going to take it in stages and keep pulling this as much as we can before we start trying to pull this. For them couple of pulls, we've started to improve the shape down here. It's going to take some time because I haven't got the pulling power on this, but it's already broke. So that bit is broke off there. So I've got to go and take that back before we can continue. A bit frustrating, but anyway, got to be done. So I've replaced the winch and back home. What I'm going to do now, I'm not going to pull any more of this for a second. I'm going to start trying to pull some of the metal here. So if we look into this deep groove, that's where the rim of the wheel is crushed in. So I'm going to weld the tabs down here, and we're going to start pulling that, trying to straighten that out. Right, so I've got quite a few square washers welded on by there. I actually got that tip from Martin from Buzzbee Motor Company. He's got his own YouTube channel, so go check him out. Please be giving me some advice on how to restore this, because that is his job. So what I'm going to do now is hook up the clamps to them and hopefully pull as much of the creases out as we can. Right, so it's been a couple of days since I filmed what you've just seen. In the meantime, I've had quite a few deliveries, namely the door, dashboard, airbags. I've got some other bits in there. There's a seat belt and some trim that's broke, which I'll show you later on. Firstly, the door. It got delivered to me like this. I bought it off eBay. Now, who delivers a door without doing any wrapping or packing on it? I find that hard to believe, even though it's a second-hand door, but it's from a breaker's yard. I mean, you can't see now, but there's some scratch marks on there where it's just been left rubbing up against whatever they've done. I mean, what kind of company does that? Why not just look after it? It was sold as it's going to need a paint, but if they hadn't ruined it and kept it good as it come off the car, it would have been fine. There you are. That's my rant over. Right, so since I filmed what you've just seen, they say it's been a few days has gone by. So part 2 of the video went out where I showed the teardown. Now I've got a lot of comments and a lot of positive comments, and I've been reading everything people have been saying about how I should go about doing the repairs. I've been soaking up all the information I can on the comments you've been making, and there's been some good suggestions, and I've really appreciated all the comments. So I am going to take the advice from what a few people are saying. The one thing I'm going to do differently to what I was going to do now is, mainly because I have the door, is I'm going to get this door on and I'm going to start pulling and trying to get this door lined up before I cut anything off. What I was going to do previously was cut the outer skin off and then put the door onto the bracket still left on the inner skin and level it that way, but I'm going to do it slightly different. I'm going to leave the outer skin on until I get the door lined up. So we're going to go back up to the car. I'll have the door on by the time I next put the camera on, and we'll start the process again. Right, so this is where we're at now. The hinge to go on here, right, the hinge, I need it to come forward in this direction, but this crease here is what's stopping me, and that's pushed the hinge back. Now I'm pretty sure the hinge plate behind is still what it should be. I've shone a torch and everything looks fine. I think it's just a case the hinge needs to come forward and it'll be fine. But what I'm going to do is, see, I weld these tabs on and I'm going to pull this crumple out and some of them, and then we'll put the hinge on and get the door fitted. Right, so we really don't have to worry about these ripping out, because that's all getting cut out anyway, because it's quite thin, this metal. But I've now got plenty of adjustment in the hinge, so I'm going to bolt that up, bolt the door on, and see what we're looking at. Door is on, and the shut line is pretty good, maybe a tad big, needs a little bit of tweaking, but I'm not going to spend all day faffing around with it because it's got to come back off and be repositioned later, as long as I know it's close, and then I can do all the final tweaking at the end. So door back off, get back on with that. Now, one thing to add, the nut that's on the other side of that bolt is absolutely terrible to get at. One of the most difficult jobs I've done. So the wrench is in there, it's still hanging on it. I'm not taking it off until the job is finished. That one was murder. Right, so what we're going to do now, this is the donor panel. I'm going to release all the spot welds here, take the outer section off complete, and then I know exactly what we're looking at underneath. So before I go start cutting anything off there, I know exactly what this is telling me here. Right, so with that off, that is what we have got for the replacement. And in here you can see the hinge. This section here is high strength steel. I don't think we're going to see any damage to that on the car. I think the outer has crushed in till it's hit there. It's a very strong part of the structure, so no matter what happens, we will not be cutting that. This section here, I don't think is the boron steel like this, but I'm still hoping we don't have to do any cutting out, maybe a little bit of straightening inside of that, but hopefully it'll be just fine and we can just play it over the top. So what I'm going to do now is cut myself a section out, get this crumple out of the way, then decide on that one where we're going to cut here, place over, and then make our cut lines through the cars. Oh, one thing to add, as you've probably seen from this, the inner skin is extremely close, so I don't want to be cutting through that, so I'm going to use a mixture of the grinder just to score the outside, and then a little multi-tool to try and just cut through the edge. So we'll see how that works out. So with it off, this is what we have got. Now I was hoping this was in better shape, but the main thing is, as I told about this beam running through here, which is the boron steel. If you look closely in there, let me get you a torch. Hang on. Right, if I shine a light up in there, can you see that this ends here? So it comes along in this thickness and it ends in the seam there. Now that is fine, that's not bent. It looks like it is because that tapers in, that's the natural shape if you look at the angle there. This piece obviously is crumpled, but we can pull this. Now there is a slight bit of damage at the nose of the high strength bit, but we can have a go pulling that. There is a slight crack, but I think we can, if we take our time with the heat, we'll be able to weld that back. So we're going to pull this a bit, pull this out. So I'm pretty sure this is not boron steel, because I see no signs of cracking, and like I said earlier, when I filed it on the other panel it was a lot softer. So we can tidy this up and then get ready to cut a bigger repair. So I'm going to set up the clamps first. We're going to start pulling a little here, try and straighten this section up, and then we'll match it to our panel we're going to put over the top. Right, this is as far as I've got. I've done quite a bit of pulling on this, and I gotta be honest, this steel is strong as, really is hard to pull. So I'm taking a break from that a minute and start pulling this out and as we straighten that, then I'm gonna pull this and then go back to trying to rework in that, but it's quite time consuming. I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy, but I don't give up easy either. Right, I'm not actually going to use a winch for this. I'm just going to use some sideways pressure and start pulling. He's pulling the weld, but it's bringing the dent out. Let's put a hole in it now, so we'll move on to the next one. So I've been on a mission pulling, and as you can see, it's a lot better than it was. It's not perfect. I had to cut a relief cut up here because the crease was so deep there, I couldn't get it. Outside cut, pulled it and just run a seam of weld. Then some of the holes I pulled through, I had to fill back through. I've welded up the crack there, took my time on that because I didn't want to get heat into that steel, and then what I've done is I've cleaned up in here, and I'm not going to do much more with that now. I think I'll just seam seal and the seal that I've pulled at, so we've got that fine. Now all we've got to do is put the outer layer on, but I'm running out of time today now. It's getting dark, so we should come back tomorrow.